Inside the X is a short newsletter every Friday designed to give you some fun right before the weekend. It'll include links to blog posts, articles, books, quotes, and recent purchases I've made. Everything is handpicked to add value to your life. To join, email entertainmentxpodcast@gmail.com.
Good morning, Vietnam!
But it ain't about how hard you hit. It's about how hard you can get hit and keep moving forward.
To infinity and beyond!
Some people without brains do an awful lot of talking, don't they?
It's classified.
You talking to me?
I could tell you, but then I'd have to kill you.
I can't fly!
Expecto Patronum!
Entertainment X.
You never know what you're gonna get.
For this episode, I sit down with Michelle Dyer. Michelle has made the transition from performer into the financial sector, if you will. And she gives me and us a wealth of information about finances and savvy saving techniques for actors and actresses, among so much more. So this episode is going to primarily focus on finances, good, bad, and otherwise. Enjoy.
I'm not a financial services professional, nor do I play one on TV. All the views of mine are expressly my own and have no reflection upon my employer.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, we're back. And today with me on the phone is Michelle Dyer. Michelle, thank you for chatting with me today.
Thanks for having me.
This is really exciting. So I came about you through ways of Melissa Robinette, who is a wonderful, wonderful woman. In the theater community. Her episode is coming out very soon. Actually, by the time this airs, it will already be out.
Awesome.
Today, I want to chat with you primarily about finances. I think this is a very taboo subject, especially for artists in all genres of artistry. And so we're going to talk about all of that. I want to start, though, with what originally got you into musical theater?
So I was going to be a marketing major all my life. I was going to go to my local college for marketing, and my aunt was looking at a college for her daughters, and she said, oh, you might want to check this school out. So we went up there, and I fell in love, and it was going to be the same price for both colleges, and my parents actually let me, as an 18-year-old, decide where I was going to go. I know, right? Yeah. Where I was going to go to college, and I ended up going into school in musical theater. I was an ingenue. That's my type. So I knew if I was going to do it, I needed to do it now. So, but I always knew I would go back into business somehow. So I got a BFA in communication arts, major in musical theater, minor in dance, and I got a business option, which was the BFA's version of a minor.
Why did you know you were always going to go into business?
I don't know. I really liked it when I was 16 and working at my local theme park.
Yeah.
The head of the department was amazing, and he let me work in the office, kind of doing time cards and helping out. And I always liked the office atmosphere. I don't know, maybe because I was an actor all my life and I thought that was really cool. But I know, right? Like thinking an office was cool, but it was foreign to us, right?
Right.
So, I just, I don't know. Like I thought that was cool, and I was comfortable there, and I really liked doing it when I was young. So yeah, I thought I'd give it a try.
Okay. So what got you into, so let's start here. Let's just start. When you moved to New York City, what did you wish you knew when you moved to New York City in terms of gainful employment?
Oh my gosh. Like literally my whole entire mission right now is to tell everyone what I wish I knew when I moved to the city. Yeah. So I moved to the city with a chunk of change in my pocket, and I moved into my little sublet on 181st and Cabrini. Yeah. And I sat in my room, I ate chips, and I read Backstage. Yeah. And I went to some auditions. I will give myself that. I did audition. But literally, I didn't even know survival jobs existed.
Oh, really?
Oh my gosh. Wow. I'm telling you, I didn't even know they existed. This is why I'm so passionate about imparting all this knowledge on others, because I didn't know they existed, one, right? Yeah. And two, I eventually came to find out about temping, working in an office, and catering, because I had friends that were cater waiters. But then eventually when I started signing up for survival jobs, I didn't even know that promo jobs existed. This is a perfect survival jobs for actors. And I didn't even know they existed, and I never took advantage of it. So now I'm like, I want to tell everybody. And now there's even more opportunity than that, but I want to tell everybody things that I wish that I would have known because I blew through my cash. And it didn't have to be that way.
So,
it could have been so different.
Yeah. What do you mean by promo jobs?
So for promotional companies, so when you walk out of Times Square and those people handing out that new flavor of Dasani water?
Yeah.
And like handing out the flyers for Chicago
those
and
poor
Times
Chicago
Square.
girls. It's
right?
freezing out there.
So I didn't even know those existed. And promo companies love actors because we're smiley. We'll talk to anybody.
Yeah.
They throw us in their T-shirt. And it's such a great category of survival job. And I didn't even know it existed.
So were you budgeting when you moved into the city? Like, how did you blow through the cash so quickly? What was that? If you don't mind reliving.
I just sat in my room and I did buy a TV eventually. I remember buying a bed and a TV for my room. But I just auditioned. And so I'm paying $1,800 in rent and food and all this stuff. And I just auditioned, and my very exciting first contract, I remember walking down 46th Street and Bob Klein giving me my call. I got my first job, right? Like triumph. The non-union tour, Bus and Truck of Kiss Me Kate, right? My favorite show ever.
Yeah.
But we got paid $245 a week before taxes.
Oh, no. Were you represented?
No.
This was all on your own.
Just me. Oh, yeah. This is just me literally like off a plane, 2 suitcases from Ohio, going to auditions. Like literally no experience, just walking into open calls. So I did hustle, and I would give myself that. But even on the road, I didn't make money. Like I was bunking 2 and 3 people in a hotel room, and I still was not, because, some of the cities on the road, you're using your whole per diem plus a little salary just to eat.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it didn't have to be that way. I wish I would have known that I could have done all this other stuff.
So how long did you go in this route before you kind of like realized you could switch it up? And
I mean, the distinct memory was before AEA was renovated. I'm sitting on the floor of the old AEA building, same building, but before it was renovated. It's like gross, gum on the floor. 200 girls in a room, and we're all sitting there, and I've got friends around, and somebody started talking about a temp job, and I'm like, okay, let me try this. So somebody whips out a card of their temp agent, and some of the girls pass it around and start writing down their email addresses for temp agencies. And I'm like, there has got to be a better way. So I went home, and, I just gotten out of town. I didn't want to go out of town again. So I'm like, all right, let me try this temp thing. So I went home and I Googled survival jobs for actors, and there was nothing. I couldn't find a resource. So I created one. So that's how this whole passion thing started.
And this website's going to be, this is under MichelleDyer.com.
So MichelleDyer.com is just my stuff. And then I'm so excited. They said next week, hopefully, the survivaljobsforactors.com will go live. So I never talked about side hustles before. Yeah. And that, I only knew the tried and true, let's go to a temp agency, or let's go to a catering company, or a promo job. And now there are side hustles that I want to talk about. And MichelleDyer.com, because I wanted to talk about financial stability too, because it's just not survival jobs. It's a whole conversation. There's so much more to talk about. Yeah. So that's kind of why I'm revamping stuff, because it's just not the survival job. It's part of a bigger financial picture.
Now, okay, so we have a lot to cover here, but I want to get back to this budgeting real quick. I know I understand that it's very much case by case for a person. Everyone has different needs, different, expenditures that they want to spend on.
Yes.
I'm curious, what did you find worked for you?
Oof. Okay. So I've been an actress for a while, so the word restriction doesn't work well with me. You talk to an actress, I have a knee-jerk reaction because I've been told to lose weight my entire career, right? So the whole restriction thing just doesn't work well with me. So I listened to your episode on budgeting, and it was amazing. If anybody has not listened to it, please check it out.
Oh, Michelle, thank you.
It's really, really good. And you stuck with an amazing budget. You made meals for yourself. You meal prepped. I wanted to try one of your recipes when you were talking about what you're doing. I'm like, oh, I should try that. But So, okay, budgeting, right? So you have what's coming in and what's going out. So I tell people, go to your accounts and export all your accounts, your bank account, your checking account, your credit card, and make a list. It's great in December and around for tax time because you can export the year. As an actor, we don't have consistent income, right?
No, yeah.
So,
Right.
so it's like, I don't have an expected paycheck. How am I supposed to budget? Well, go back, export 12 months of data, add up all the income, add up all the money you're spending, and divide everything by 12. So you see how much is coming in and you see how much is going out average a month, right? So say you have 2,000 coming in and 1,800 going out.
Right.
So you've got 200 more that's going out. Well, if you were like I was and you've got 2,000 coming in, but you've got 2,200 going out, what are you going to do? You can do one of two things. The income has to be bigger, right? So you either you make the what's going out smaller or you increase the income. So for me, because I'm not good with restriction, like you're really good at budgeting, for me, it's easier for me to increase the income. So then I say, okay, I need to take on another survival job. I need to create another side hustle. We need multiple streams of income, and especially when you're an actor.
Yeah. Now, you increasing your income though, that takes away, because assuming you have like one of those basic kind of like cogs in a machine survival jobs, that takes away more hours of your day because you have to use the hours of your day to make more money.
You do, and that's why, if you're working your temp job during the day, maybe you can try to pick up some catering gigs at night. I mean, I say register with at least 5 temp agencies, at least 5 catering companies, at least 5 promo companies, because you've got to fill out that time. And looking back, I'm just like, how much time was I sitting on the couch with my roommate, either watching TV or doing this or doing that, where I could have created that financial sustainability and that financial foundation that I had no clue how important it was. And to your other point about there are only so many hours of the day, so a temp job, you can only work 9 to 5, 8 to 6, right?
Right.
So what can you add where you don't have to physically be somewhere and at a certain time? And that's where the side hustle comes in.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Okay, so there was one thing I want to touch on before we get into side hustles, and it has slipped my mind, so we're going to go right into side hustles. Mm-hmm. Now, what different ones? Because I know people are doing Etsy. Oh, okay, yeah. Before we go to Etsy, Tony Robbins, read some of his books. We were talking about one of them prior, Unshakable, great money book. He has that concept of buckets. You have like the bucket for like what you need for daily usage, right? And then you have like your risk bucket where it could be used for like high risk, high reward investments, I guess, of sorts. And then you have like your, what is that? The other one's like your vacation bucket, or what you would spend on, you're going to have a good time. There's X amount of dollars you're going to spend. So there's other ways to break it up like that. But getting into investments, do you encourage performers to invest in the stock market or?
Oh my gosh, yes. So I did not know about all this. So my father invested for me, right? He said when I was 16, I'll put some money in an IRA. He started that for me.
Yeah.
So I knew that was there. He taught me about investments and insurance because he worked for an insurance company.
Right.
So thank goodness I had that foundation. Now, there's a guy called the Wealthy Investor, Tyrone Jackson. I will highly, highly, highly recommend. Okay. He actually started off as the Wealthy Artist. Now, here's another one of my regrets. Back in 2008, he gave a free class at Actors Connection. You know how they have free seminars sometimes?
Yeah.
And he talked about his investing system. And I'm like, that's a scam, blah, blah, blah. This is ridiculous.
Okay.
Yeah, I should have done that.
It works.
So he has an amazing program. He has a podcast that's free, so you can go subscribe to it. Yeah. And then he also has a paid program where he walks you through month by month his type of investing, what he recommends. But one thing that, if you do want to get into investing, here's one thing. Roth IRA is a beautiful thing.
Yeah.
You can put money in your Roth IRA, which is lovely, but then I don't think people understand that you have to allocate where that investment goes. right?
Right.
So you put money in an account, but then you have to allocate whether you buy a stock or a bond or a mutual fund or whatever you buy.
Right.
So you need to understand all these financial things. You can put it in a stock that has a dividend, which pays you 4 times a year. Like these basic investment concepts. Read Unshakable by Tony Robinson. Read Susie Orman. She's her Young, Broken, Fabulous book is like wonderful.
Susie Orman?
Orman. She just came out. Her Woman in Money is the one that she just came out with and is doing the press tour for right now. But
Right.
Young, Broken, Fabulous is on Amazon. It's great. These are fantastic resources to check out. And she talks about her love of a Roth IRA and why it's a really good choice, especially for people our age.
Why Roth instead of a regular IRA?
All right. I get really geeky, so I'm excited.
Please, please.
So, according to Susie Orman, the initial investment that you put in the Roth IRA, so if I put $500 in a Roth IRA, I can take that $500 out without a penalty.
Okay.
With most investment accounts, if you put money in them like a 401k or a regular IRA, there is a difference. There's a Roth IRA and a regular IRA. Those are 2 separate things.
Yeah.
With a retirement, usually with a retirement investment, if you take it out before a certain age, like 55 or 60 or 70 or whatever that retirement account is, usually you get a penalty and have to pay it back.
No, retirement investment being a classic IRA.
Classic IRA, like a 401k. If you take any money out, you have to pay it back, usually plus some. Usually.
Right.
Read the prospectus for everything you do.
Of course.
But why Susie Orman likes these Roth IRAs, if I put $500 in and say that $500 makes an additional $100, I can take that initial $500 investment out without a penalty for an emergency, guys. But this does not mean I'm going to put money in and just take it out just,
willy-nilly.
because I need new headshots. Like, that's not this account is for.
Right.
But we have so much time on your hands. The younger you are, this is another reason why I preach, the younger you are, the more advantages you have because of this beauty called compound interest.
Yeah.
And didn't Albert Einstein call it like the 8th wonder of the world?
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. I believe it, though.
And I mean, there's this favorite chart that I'm obsessed with, JP Morgan. So if you put $2,000 in your account every year from the age of 20 to 30, so 20 I put in 2021, I put in 2022, every year until you're 30, and then never put in money again, you have like X amount of dollars when you're 65, right?
Right.
If I wait until I'm 30 and start putting in $2,000 every year,
Yeah.
and do not stop until I'm 65, every year, 30 to 65, you still will not have as much money as if you had just done those 10 years when you were 20 to 30.
Why?
Because of the beauty of compound interest. If you put that money in when you're 20 years old, and then that interest goes back, so you have $2,000 plus X, whatever the interest is.
Right.
Then when you put it in at 21, the interest is grown on $2,000 plus the interest, plus the interest. Then because of the way that it compounds, if you get the same, say you're having the same interest rate every year,
Yeah.
you still will not have a same amount of money if you start at 35 and never stop putting that money in again.
Why are the years
till the age of 60?
Why are the years 20 to 30 so much more important and so much better with compound interest than 30 to 65?
It's because it's giving you that much more time because the time from 30 to 65, the younger you start, the better it is. The younger that you start, the more money, the more that the time is on your side. And please, if you are 35, I'm 38, I am having to start, I'm putting money in my retirement account. Don't say I'm not 20 and this isn't going to work for me. No, I'm telling you this to say start now, because the sooner that you start, the more that you're going to have time on your side, the more that your interest can compound, the more that your money can compound.
So, okay, so then with an IRA, I know there's a percentage on it, like a charge, because banks have to make money. And what is the recommended percentage on some of those?
all right, here's my other thing. So I totally subscribe to Tyrone Jackson's that if you are, Tony Robbins recommends index funds, right?
Right.
So Tony Robbins and, oh my gosh, why did his name slip my mind? Billionaire dude.
Warren Buffett,
Warren
Ray
Buffett.
Dalio.
Thank you.
I just start naming
Thank you,
investors.
Warren Buffett. Thank you. All of these big guys recommend index funds. Why? An index fund takes like, I don't know, what do they take, 500 stocks or whatever, and it takes the index. So say it's like a tech index fund. It takes all these tech stocks. An S&P 500 index fund, it maps the same as the S&P, right? They try to map those 500 stocks, and it tries to use those.
Right.
And it goes up kind of in synchronization as S&P 500. So, but Tyrone Jackson says, with any funds, you're going to have percentages, right? So they have to pay for the person making the coffee and the admin and the paper that they're printing your stuff out on and the sales guy, right?
Right.
So those are going to have percentages attached to it. Mutual funds and your 401k, don't get me started on those. That is all one of my plan offers. So yes, of course, don't say they charge a percentage and I'm not going to invest. No, it is worth it to invest.
Yeah.
They just have, like you said, they have fees on it, right? They have fees associated. So I like trading stocks, very, very, very safe stocks. And that's why I subscribe to Tyrone Jackson, because he's been a trader for 20 years and tells me what to invest in. But I pay fees for commission when I make trades, but I own the stock free and clear. I'm not paying a percentage on that. Whereas you own like an index on your mutual fund, there are some fees associated with it, but I don't want that to scare someone away. So if you're looking at your account every day and you know what stocks and you know the research and you know the earnings, you can definitely go for individual stocks. But if you're like, hey, I'm going to set it and forget it, and these accounts now have these beautiful things called target date funds. So you can go into your retirement account, and if you don't even want to deal with it, if you stop listening to conversation 10 minutes ago, you can go to these accounts and be like, I just want to set my retirement date for 2060, and that fund will adjust the stocks and the bonds and the cash according to how close you are to your retirement date. So there are options if you want to look at your account every day, or if you just want to set it and forget it.
So index funds. Now I feel like there's some people that may have no idea what words we're talking about and using. So I just want to use.
I'm not explaining it very well. Can you explain it better?
No. I understand what you're saying. I just know that some people are like, what the fuck? So
Can you explain it better?
Yeah, no. So I just want to keep it simple. So we have this IRA, the Roth IRA. Roth IRA, you can take that initial amount out more easily than a regular IRA. They'll actually penalize you for doing that. My IRA is a traditional IRA. I didn't know about this Roth IRA. If I wanted to switch to a Roth IRA, would I have to pay anything? Or is that just, that is. So there's a penalty to switch it over, or just a fee of sorts within my
Not
bank.
a penalty.
But a fee.
It is, you are taking, okay. So the main difference, there are a lot of differences. Okay. One of the main difference, so your traditional IRA, you probably took out money. Did you take out money through your employer paycheck to contribute, or did you?
No, I put in an initial $3,000 and then $200 a month.
Okay.
From my bank account. It was withdrawn automatically.
For quote unquote, I won't call them real people because we're real people, but office job people.
Yeah, day job people, whatever you call it. Yeah, whatever.
Some people, okay, so they can contribute. Usually an IRA is tax free.
Yes.
Usually.
I got a nice break on mine.
Oh, you did?
Yeah,
okay,
I did.
good. So it came off the back end basically?
Yeah, I forgot about it actually at tax time, and then I went back and I was like, ooh, more money.
Ooh. So the government, as performers, we have pensions, right? Like through equity. We have through equity and SAG and all these other, I'm not sure SAG's plan, but equity has a pension. So all these big companies like GE and it used to be for our grandparents, they would work 40 years, they would retire, they would have a pension, right?
Yes.
It is expensive for companies to do that.
That's what the 401k is kind of almost on its way out.
So so companies are like, dude, people are living longer. We're having to pay more out. This is getting really expensive.
Yeah.
Let's create. So the government or whoever created this vehicle called 401k. So basically people contribute money out of their paycheck pre-tax.
Yes.
We have to pay our agents post-tax, but this is pre-tax money.
Right.
So pre-tax money, you can put money into a 401k. Some contracts do have 401ks, and regular, what do we call them? Regular IRAs, traditional IRAs. Pre-tax money. Then the money grows, and then when you withdraw that money from your traditional IRA,
Right.
you are taxed on everything.
Yeah. Okay.
The contribution and the growth.
Got it.
If you want to put your money from a traditional IRA into a Roth IRA,
Yeah.
you can. It's called a conversion or something, Roth IRA conversion. Call
Okay.
the company. They'll happy to walk you through it because they want your money.
Yeah.
So you can convert it to a Roth IRA, but you just have to pay the taxes on it. So you totally can.
Right.
You'll just have to pay the taxes.
Got it. Okay. And then, so with IRAs, that's a way of putting money away for your future that is not impossible, but difficult to touch because of those penalties, that when you get to that 65 area, you'll have a couple $100,000, that you can start pulling from for retirement. Correct?
Yeah, that's great because it's just a vehicle, right? You can put away, the government created these, they want them to be tax advantages because they want people to save, right?
Right.
So, but it's just a vehicle, right? It's a big basket, and you have to allocate where you put that money. But it's great because when you log in your online banking, you're not necessarily seeing that line item. You're like, ooh, I've got this money saved for retirement, right?
Right.
So it's great to put money away in an account that you don't see every day. So I recommend if people can do like automatic contributions monthly, like at the first of the month, just set it and forget it if you know you're going to have the money in your account.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the ideal way, but obviously as performers, our bank account doesn't work that way,
Now, yes, exactly. Now, a moment ago, you mentioned something along the lines of, and I'm completely paraphrasing, so correct me. What I heard was you prefer to do safer investments with your money. Did you say that or something like that?
Yeah. So if, I'm parroting Tyrone Jackson here. I'm trying to kind of quote it.
Right.
If I like trading stocks that I know, so, I know what you're talking about. I said I'd like to use safer stocks.
Yeah.
So
what are they? That's
you.
my question.
So, okay, right now this is being recorded. What month?
Right. December. Yeah.
We're December 2018,
December.
right? So the market, don't look at your accounts. If you have investments in your 401k, the market did a little drop, a correction, as we say.
Right.
So tech got hit big time. Facebook, Apple, Amazon actually got hit. That was a surprise to me.
Yeah.
But what these big companies, so hedge funds and pension funds, they do a flight to quality, which means they go to the quote-unquote quality stocks. The Dow, if you've ever heard that, people talk, the Dow went up or down.
Right.
The Dow is a basket of 30 stocks, literally.
Yeah.
The Dow are 30 stocks. And they, I guess, are the safest, or I don't know if they're the largest or safest. It's a group of 30 stocks. Right. And they're relatively safe. I'm not going to say they're safe to go invest in. But on the all, most of the Dow companies have something called a dividend, which means they pay you a portion of their profits just for investing in them. Because when you're investing in a stock,
right,
you purchase a part of that company, right?
Right.
So they give you a dividend like, hey, thanks, here's a share of our profits. So Boeing pays you 4 times a year. They pay a dividend. So they pay a percentage of the stock.
Right.
And they pay that. So when the market drops and things are kind of shaky, companies go, oh, well, if we are at least invested in these dividend stocks, we're at least going to get a dividend, even if the price of the stock drops. We'll at least get some quote-unquote interest in a dividend. We'll at least get some money 4 times a year as a dividend.
And that's specific to Boeing.
Oh, that's specific to just companies that pay. So Boeing does pay a dividend, but
like
most of the quote-unquote Dow stocks pay a dividend, and that's when people say flight to quality, they're flying to those stocks that are there at least because companies got to make money. So usually the Dow stocks don't go down as much as non-Dow stocks. Like companies that don't pay a dividend, like Facebook just dropped. Well, I mean, Facebook has its own issues, but Apple pays a dividend, and they dropped like a rock on news that they're not going to report certain numbers. So
does Disney?
I hate to say that it's the Harvard. What?
Does Disney pay a dividend?
Disney does. Disney is on the Dow.
Yeah, that's one that's
Yes,
not going anywhere, I think.
Disney, I'm not going to lie, Disney has weathered the storm pretty darn well.
Yeah.
So, you'll see those stocks won't drop as much. All my tech portfolio, but everything, it just, for some reason, the stocks that don't pay a dividend are much more volatile, will go up and down a lot faster than the Dow are kind of tried and true, just chugging along. They're not going to make you $1 million overnight, but they kind of stay where they are, and they don't usually drop a ton during issues with the stock market.
So bringing up that word again, index funds, that is a slower, less, dare I say, less risky investment because you're not trading on the daily. When you create an index fund, it's a collection of investments.
It's a collection of investments. So I'm not as familiar with mutual funds. I know mutual funds are like a basket of stocks.
Right.
An index fund covers an index. So like an index fund, if it was a tech index fund, it would have followed all these tech stocks, and it would have dropped a ton when the actual actual tech stocks dropped a ton too.
Okay.
So it would definitely go down a lot when the tech stocks went down a lot. There can be like an index fund for, I don't know, there are index funds for all because now everyone's like, ooh, do like a woman CEO index fund and like an oil index fund. And like there are all these index funds popping up because Tony Robbins, Warren Buffett, like all these people are recommending index funds because you have someone else pick the actual stocks that they're following. Like you have someone else in there, and like you were saying, there's like a percentage on it because there's another layer of the financial professionals actually looking at stuff too.
Right.
But index funds aren't, if you go into tech index fund and tech drops, your tech index fund is going to drop too.
Right, right. So, okay, so with all of this conversation leading to somewhere, I promise for the listeners, if they're still holding on, I have $1,000. I'm an actor, and I want to start with $1,000, and I want to invest in the stock market. One, is that possible with $1,000? And two, what would, in your opinion, be the best beginning options for that?
100%. Excuse me, give me 2 seconds. I'm going to cough.
Sure, yes. Take that moment to cough. Because I'm really interested in the fact that many actors think, or actresses think that, I need to have, $10,000 to start investing, or I need to have $5,000, or I need to have that you need to have a larger amount of money to actually begin investing. And that's not exactly true. You could even start with what's the lowest amount I guess you could start with?
You have to check the company that you're investing with,
Right.
but my number one answer is if you are on any contract that has a 401k match, if you hear that word match, that is the first place you put your money.
Yeah.
So there are contracts that have a 401k, so you can put a percentage of your salary there. But if you have a 401k match, say that company is like, I will match 2% of your salary. If you put in 2%, we'll put in 2%.
Yeah.
That's free money.
Yeah.
If you do not, if you have any sort of contract, you have a match, make that word match equal free money in your head.
Yeah.
Because they're saying, go ahead.
That happens with cruise lines, I've heard.
You're kidding me. That's great.
Yeah, different
That's
companies,
wonderful.
depending on the company. Depending
on the contract,
because
right?
Because there are 401ks that you can open even if you're only on, an 8-month contract.
That's wonderful. And, if you have that match, that is free money. Now, you can put in up to the match. Say they'll match you up to 2%, but the rules of a 401k, or you can put up to XYZ, which is more than 2%. I say put in up to the match, right?
Right.
Get the free money, And then you can go put the rest, if you want to put more in a retirement account, go up in a Roth IRA.
Right.
Put the rest in there.
Right.
Throw some money in a Roth IRA. So you can definitely invest with $1,000. You can trade stocks in a Roth IRA.
Now,
depending on where you open it.
Is that now okay? So yes, so we got the first part. Yes, we can invest with $1,000.
100%.
Part two to that is that you walking into your bank and taking a look at like talking to the financial department. I mean, the whole bank's a financial department, but talking to the people who are in charge of investments, or is that something you can easily just start on your own online?
See, you can.
You know what I mean?
And you can, and there is a fee associated. You can read Susie Orman, read David Bach, B-A-C-H. He is the Automatic Millionaire. You can read, Tony Robbins recommends, and Tyron Jackson, and you can read all these people, but you can definitely have someone do it for you.
Yeah.
I mean, if you are like, I don't even want to, you can definitely have someone do it for you, or you can do it self-directed. So say you put $1,000 into your Roth IRA, you can do with whatever, if that company offers stocks, mutual funds, you can leave it there as cash, but I don't know why you'd want to do that. But you can put it in, you can invest that money how you want to.
Okay, so that would be a conversation at your bank. It sounds like
that would be a conversation with your guy. I mean, personally, I like trading stocks in my Roth. I trade stocks in my Roth, and then I have a separate account called a brokerage account.
Yeah.
And that's for my that's just like an investment account.
And why do you prefer to trade in your Roth?
Because I know I'm a broken record. I subscribe to the Tyron Jackson.
Yeah, no, please. I mean,
he talks about his investment system, which I thought was a big scam, which isn't. He talks about his investment system. He trades covered calls, but it's a certain way. It's the way he teaches it. Okay. I know there's Motley Fool and all these different types, and I don't want to say, there are all these books about it, but he makes it very ABC. Right. Lisa Gold had sent out an email, and I took one of his original seminars or something, and I was like, oh, that's what this is. I sat on a trading desk back in, what year was that? One of my temp to perm job that I got in the office was on a trading desk. And this is why I say I'm kicking myself. I didn't understand all of the investments and all the trading that they were doing at a hedge fund. And now I'm like, why didn't I? And then I took Tyrone's class and I'm like, why didn't I do this back then? It's like there are trades and the way that these guys make money. But I could invest in a couple stocks in my Roth and just let it sit there and get the dividend and call it a day, you know?
Right.
So there are so many ways that you can do it. I can throw it in an index fund and call it a day, or I could diversify, throw a little in a couple of stocks, throw some in an index fund. You never want to put all your eggs in one basket, ever. Yeah. Especially with the market being the way it is, the finance of the world. I won't talk about what's going on in the world right now.
Right.
I won't get on my soapbox, but you never want to put all your eggs in one basket. And you need to be making money multiple ways. And investing is just literally one way that I make money, just one.
Yeah. And then I guess now, I don't know if you can speak on this or not. So whatever your financial institution is, and you're going to go and you want to talk about investing, I understand that there are certain stocks and bonds that are, I wouldn't say pushed, but they want to be sold. So obviously, because there's certain ones that people will make money on based on what sells. And I understand there's that finding that balance between someone you trust or like a true fiduciary, someone that's going to honestly work on your side to find you the best options versus someone who doesn't, maybe it's not that they don't care, but that they're going to make more money if they sell this certain stock or bond. And so that's what they're going to sell you.
Yep, legislation was just passed, I think, saying that financial advisors don't have to be fiduciaries right now. So
yes. Meaning financial advisors don't have to be honest to you with your money. So, just in case you don't want to look the word up, I guess it's fiduciary as a trustee would be a
Yep, there are two types of advisors. One is an advisor who's just like, pay me $100 an hour and I will talk to you about your finances.
Right.
The other one is come in and talk to me about your finances, and if you invest in this, I'll get a cut of it. I'll get a percentage.
Right.
And that's what you don't want.
Yeah.
So you need to make sure that when you go to a financial advisor, and Equity has this, the Actors Fund has this, Actors Fund, Federal Credit unions are great. Go check out credit unions.
Yeah.
Credit unions are a great resource. Make sure if you go to a financial advisor, are you paying an hourly rate for their advice, or are you paying and then they get a chunk of your profits? Like Susie Orman says, never do whole life insurance because it's just they get a chunk. If they sell you whole life, they get a percentage or they get some sort of benefit.
Yeah.
You got to ask before you go and talk to a financial advisor, what type do you get a percentage of anything that you sell me? Ask the question, because I wouldn't know. I didn't know to ask. Did you know to ask? I didn't know.
No, and I'm really almost regurgitating everything I learned from Unshakable. So good,
that's
right? A
A
lot of that
it's
stuff
so
I learned from this book, Tony Robbins,
so good.
Unshakable. I seriously encourage you. It can be a difficult read, and it's so interesting though, because what I'm trying to crack through here with you is not just the words and the terms and the information, but actually how to begin doing it. Because I noticed in that book he had a lot of great information. It's like having it was almost like having a recipe, and but not having a recipe. You have a list of the ingredients, and all these ingredients look like they make something really great, but which order do I go about putting them together?
Yes. I am not a financial advisor. This is literally just my 2 cents. And, please contact
chatting.
a financial advisor
Yes.
and reach out to somebody who actually, this is just my opinion. But I had him on audiobook, right? So I love just listening, and then I would go back. I would be like, I need to go back and listen. And I was considering, should I get the hard copy just so I could underline and dogtail stuff,
Right.
But I had it on audiobook, so it was great to listen to. And I'm into this stuff, but it's very valuable for people who aren't. And I think it's even more important if you don't know any of this stuff. Why do they not teach this in school?
I know.
It's so important.
I know.
It's so important.
Budgeting, investing, all of it.
So important.
It really is. And okay, so budgeting. How do we go from here? Working yes. Okay. This is what I want to talk about. And I read this recently, actually, that now more than ever, performers, artists have to diversify. You can no longer be a one-trick pony. You can't just be like a singer or a singer, actor, dancer. It helps if you can produce, direct, if you're writing, because writers are really the people that are making the jobs for all of us. And this is something that I've realized recently and have begun to, started my foray into it, because I've realized, that's, for instance, okay, so if we think about Rocky, the series with the film, he wrote that. I think he had a little bit of help, but he created, it's almost like he created that job for himself. And the other side of this coin is Arnold Schwarzenegger, who literally created $1 million real estate construction business before he ever became a movie star, because he didn't want to have to go out for all those crap jobs, where you have to make crap money for a crap thing. And that's something that I'm finding very interesting now, today more than ever, is, you should have your own side hustle, which is, like we said earlier, different than a survival job, because a side hustle, you might put in more investing of your time and your creativity at the beginning, but there is a payoff if you build it.
And you want to have a job that you need to have a source of income that can come in wherever and whenever you can work it. So when I was on the road on my non-equity tour of Kiss Me Kate, and I get out of the show at 11:30 at night in Des Moines, Iowa, I can't work a temp job. I can't work a promo job, but I can sure go on Etsy and sell some stuff. I can sure create an online course and then go on and talk to people on a Facebook group and do a Q&A. I can sure, you can, that is the ideal side hustle to me, is something that you can work at whatever time you are, at whatever job you're at. So even when you're on the road, you have another source of income. And what you said about Arnold Schwarzenegger, so he didn't want to take these, other jobs. your career is like a pyramid. When I was non-equity, the roles I played are laughable, right? Like, and then you keep going up the pyramid, and if you are actually shaping a career, you want to start to be picky about what roles you take, right?
Right.
If you're actually shaping a resume, I talked to Meredith Patterson, star of 42nd Street, Peggy Sawyer, 42nd Street on Broadway, right?
Yeah.
She got off that contract, and her agent said, okay, now you can't do an ensemble role. And and she's like, okay, so how many times are you going to get to star in a Broadway show, right?
Yeah.
So what was she supposed to do until she got that next starring Broadway role, right?
Yeah.
So what does that agent think that she's going to, what money was she supposed to, what money is yes, you can save up money while you're doing that starring role, but then after the job's over, especially for musical theater, in SAG, in film and TV, God willing, you'll get residual checks. But especially in musical theater, there are no residual checks. That contract ends. That source of income ends.
Yeah.
And
closing night is closing night.
Closing night is closing night.
Yeah.
And you need to be able to have a source of income. You can't do a regional theater show if your agent says no. So how are you supposed to make money? How are you supposed to put food on the table?
Yeah.
Right? So if Broadway stars have these, it's like even Broadway stars need a side hustle. It's true though. Like, what are you supposed to do? How are you supposed to put food on the table?
I've been studying this a lot recently because I'm having a fascination with the people the people who are at the top of their game in theater, film, television, radio, what have you, are doing way more than the one thing you might think they're doing. Meaning, like Ryan Seacrest comes to mind. We think talk show host, but a lot of people, not a lot, some people actually realize that he was the almost brainchild behind the Kardashian show. He produces that. He's got a clothing line at Macy's. Now I understand, me, Clayton Howe, is not going to go have a clothing line at Macy's because who the hell is Clayton Howe? But
you never know.
But it's that idea because you can do it at that level. You know what I mean? You can start something on Etsy, and people will come to you on there.
And that gives you the freedom so you don't walk into that audition with that look of desperation.
Yeah.
Right? It's funny, casting directors like, yep, I can smell desperation. So you are not desperate. And guess what? Another thing I didn't have a life outside the business at all. When I was doing this, I didn't have a life outside. I didn't have interests outside. I thought I needed to eat, sleep, and breathe this, which you do.
Right.
But to have a full and rounded out life and to be a person, to get life experiences, to then bring to your art, to enrich your art, you have to be a person. And just whether it's underwater basket weaving and you get involved with that community and create an online course on underwater basket weaving, just
I wasn't
to get
sure if I
out
heard
there.
you correctly the first time.
Underwater basket weaving.
It's a thing.
Yeah. It's a thing. But, just to meet other people and get life experience, and then that enriches your life. And then you have a source of income from that. So then you can go see shows, and you're not so desperate walking into the room, and you get to pick the roles and pick the people that you want to work with and pick your opportunities. So you can do that reading that doesn't pay anything, but hey, you never know who that person's going to be 5-10 years down the road,
Yeah. Yeah. And I think that's such an interesting, and I have this thought a lot, someone who graduates from college, they have college debt. They're going and they studied musical theater, and they're here to audition. I could imagine some would be like, well, how the hell am I going to have time to now go make a freaking Etsy store when I just want to be performing in theater? You know what I mean?
Oh, I know what you mean. But I don't want to, I say my non-equity bus and truck, it was an amazing experience. And I don't want to deter those people straight out of college because you learn from every experience. And man, it was so valuable for me to have that, because the next job and the next job and the next job, and those experiences are so important. And people that I met in that show years later, oh my gosh, one of them dated my agent. So don't be mean in your first job. That's my my
yeah.
takeaway from. I'm just going to add that in there. Because man, I was embarrassed when he started. I was like, oh God, I hope he's not looking over his shoulder for some of these things. But but those experiences are so important. And yes, you are hustling. You are sitting outside of the equity building for 10 hours a day, hoping to get in for that open call. But then you go home and you do have free time.
Yeah, the Netflix time, that Instagram time.
You do.
Yeah.
Like, seriously, what are you doing sitting in there looking at everybody's life? And I don't know about you, but that doesn't, like, build me up, to be honest. Like, to see everybody's like, ooh, look at their Kardashians and their fancy this, and, oh, that person's showing their vacation. I mean, they're showing their highlights. And for me, I need to be grateful. Oh, and this whole "it's the journey, not the destination" sounded so ridiculous. Like before, and now I'm like, oh, I totally get it.
Yeah.
It's not the destination. It's the journey.
It's the journey. Yeah.
But like, people put on. I've actually started using Instagram less lately because but people put on stuff, and if you're busy living your life and building your business and building your career. Think of this as building your career. This is giving you financial freedom. You know, like this is building you up. This is like getting this rock solid foundation. And you should be as proud as heck that you are doing your research and you are going home and reading these books and talking to friends about it and going to talk to someone at the Actors Fund about going to their financial classes and learning all that you can. That's cool. How do we make that cool anymore? Because that's cool.
Yeah.
That's what I want to put on my Instagram. That's what I want to shout out as being cool.
Yeah. Yeah. There's so much, man, there's so many ways we can go with this now. I agree. I want to start by saying that I completely agree with what you're saying. I think it's also an interesting, not conundrum, but and I've spoken to friends about this, and I felt this way about like a serving job in particular. I know that I could go, and I, speaking for a lot of performers in the city, could go get one tonight and pay my rent in a week and have a lot of extra money, you know, to like travel. I mean, that's a good job. That'll pay you pretty high. You get a pretty high return on it. Again, it's stressful. Some people call it soul sucking, and it'll pay, but it'll pay. And I think there's that decision that someone has to make of, okay, do I want to make a shit ton of money right now for a job that gives me like a physical pain from going to it? You know, like I don't want to be in that room at that restaurant, or do I want to find something else? But the idea is you don't have to take that job. You can actually make a great deal amount of money without spending so many hours, but it's building that creativity, that like, and I keep going back to Etsy, although I've never used Etsy, so I don't know why I keep using that so much.
Oh, I've bought stuff. It's great.
No, and I mean, no, and I have a big order that I'm about to purchase through Etsy, but I've never created a page and worked my, you know, like use that as a source of income, because if you're an artist or if you create anything, you could sell it on there. Anything tangible, you could sell it on Etsy.
You totally can. And I have to go to your server conundrum.
Please.
Is that why you moved to the city? Is that why you moved to the city? Is that why you spent so much money in college to go and become a server? Like, just think about that for 2 seconds. Why did you train your entire life and make this huge leap and make this huge choice to live this life? You should be so proud of yourself that you are following your dreams. And if you need to make that extra money, go out on a ship, go on a cruise ship, bank money, stay at home. If you just graduated, you can stay home and live in your parents' house. And I say save at least $5,000 before you move to the city. That's my thing. Stay in your parents' house, read Backstage every week, make a chart of I'm musical theater, right? So make a chart of every 6 months, every time that EPA comes around, because you know they're going to have a 6-month EPA for that show that you want to go audition for. Make a chart, get your book on point, that you have every single song that you have. Coach with people at home, coach with people during school, get all your audition outfits, work out at the gym, get yourself completely prepared, bank that money, so that create that side hustle, start it, get that spark and research and see what would be right for you, see what gels with you and what sounds good and feels good for you to do, and then go to move to the city and hit the ground running. Because I do not want to be like that friend who I went on an audition with, and it's for regional theater, right? So they come into the city for a few days and they want to cast it and leave.
Right.
So we were at an audition, and girls sang in the morning, and they asked us to stay and dance later. She had to be at her restaurant job at 4:30. Now, what do? Do you stay at that audition, possibly get the theater job and lose your restaurant job, or do you leave the audition and go make that reliable income at that restaurant job? Then why did you even move here? If you're literally having to make that decision, I'm sorry, but why did you move here? Like, these beautiful dancer friends of mine this one girl, she's like, I don't know what to do. I'm working my cocktail job until 4 a.m. and man, it pays my rent. But I go home to change for my chorus call. She said, I fall asleep the second I hit. She's like, I've slept through so many calls because I go home, I start to change to get ready to go to that chorus call, and I fall asleep because I've been on my feet all day. She's like, what am I doing with my life?
Has she figured out a way to rectify that?
She left the business. She left the business. She's like, what? She's like, I can't keep doing this.
Yeah.
Like, what? And if she would have started a survival job or a side hustle and banked her money, and then whether it's through the side hustle or she could even just do a catering job instead of working that cocktail job.
Yeah.
Save up enough money and then work a catering job. And especially when you book a gig in musical theater, like, your auditions go down big time, right? Like, if I know I'm going to work in May, like, then I have a lot of less auditions to go on. So hustle, and work those temp companies and those 9-to-5 jobs, right?
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
There are seasons in this business. If you are not working a holiday show right now and you are not making bank doing catering, I don't know what you're doing.
Yeah.
Like, right?
Yeah.
So the career ebbs and flows. Your money is going to ebb and flow. You need to have multiple streams of income. So one of those streams, the acting stream, can ebb and flow. And what did you have those dreams. You have to pursue them, or else you're going to have regret later. And I do not want that for you.
Yeah. Well, I want to answer the question you asked with a 4:00 job and a callback for a regional gig.
Oh, that killed me.
I understand. I get it. And the way I saw it or see it is, you fill out so many W-4s between each job and each theater job and each day job or whatever, that one extra one is not going to really kill you. So I just say, don't go to the job. And you can find another serving job, because unlike the theater world, that other world is very, very large and it's not connected.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. See, I do not know. Yeah, I don't know the non-catering world very well at all.
No, but like the restaurant industry, I had, I've even taken a stint at bartending downtown. And they were playing some serious games with me, like serious games, just unprofessional, bordering on like, you report a business for that behavior. And it occurred to me, they're not speaking to Applebee's in Times Square. I've never worked at Applebee's in Times Square, but I know for a fact they're not talking to Applebee's in Times Square. And it's the same thing. Applebee's is not talking to Olive Garden, and Olive Garden is not talking to NYC Best Bars, which is a great chain of bars in the city. You know what I mean? That's why my answer is like, screw it. Just do it. Like, don't go to the job, go to the audition. If the job is really that they're going to really say like, well, F you, then that's what it is. But, oh man. Okay. So this brings us down, and we are going to be wrapping up here. The thinking like an entrepreneur, that you aren't just, I'm an actor working in other people's projects, because you're waiting for someone else's project to employ you. You can also create your own projects that, will give you money. And now more than ever, the way everything is connected between YouTube and Instagram and all that stuff, you can actually do that. You can create your own opportunity and you can create your own income instead of waiting for another opportunity to come your way, which is thinking like an entrepreneur. And that's something you had mentioned to me.
Yes. And I mean, you know yourself best, right? You know your strengths. So why not create a project or make friends with someone who can create a project and say, you know, I'll do all your transposing, or I'll do this, or I'll do the admin work, or get a group of friends and create your own projects that feature your strengths, right?
Yeah.
So
yeah.
You're waiting for that perfect job. Create it. Go find a troop. Go find a tribe of people who can help you create that project, and you can show their strengths and they can show your strengths, you know. You definitely, I say you get to a point where you're like, man, like I gotta create something. And now it's so easy. Even if you just go on YouTube and sing your book, right? Sing a song a day, go on there. And there are so many ways to get your creativity out there. And even if you think it's awful, just keep creating, and see what hits and see what people enjoy. And you may think it's one thing, but it's something else, something you thought was ridiculous, other people love. You know, you never know. So just go out there and create, and that'll fulfill your soul artistically too.
And ironically, it might actually bring you income.
Oh my gosh, yes.
Probably pretty damn quickly, because people can find you so much more quickly.
Yeah, and they'll know you. They'll know you, and they'll know who you are and what you stand for, and that's beautiful.
Absolutely beautiful. Michelle, this conversation, absolutely wonderful. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
This has been super fun. Thanks.
Yeah, of course. So as we truly wrap up here, I'm curious, are there any mistakes you've made that have proved essential in learning?
I mean, it's really just getting here and sitting on my bum and not knowing what to do, and not knowing that time is on your side with investing and the beauty of compound interest, and not knowing about survival jobs and working my bum off when I was, green and had all this time on my side. And time is such a commodity and something you're never going to get back. So I just implore people to research and explore, and just do all your research and learn what works for you. Everybody's different. So somebody may like stocks and somebody may like selling on Etsy, and, just find what works for you, but definitely gain all that knowledge. Soak up as much as you can.
Yes. And something I meant to mention earlier in terms of investing, I had this wonderful realization. My aunt, when I was very young, bought me, are they like federal savings bonds?
Yeah.
And it's like the face value on it's $500. You buy it for $250, and after 7 years, it matures to face value and past face value. I think some of them go past face value, and that's an incredibly safe investment. I'm not. I don't work for the federal government. I'm not trying to sell federal savings bonds. I just know they're very
every
safe,
investment
and you can go buy
has
one.
risk, and we definitely need to say that every investment has risk.
Yeah.
Please do your due diligence. Yes, of course.
It just occurred to me that's one that requires, it would appear on the surface as no fee. You go into a bank, you buy it, you put it away, you pull it back out in 7 years. So if you're in college, you get that now. It'll be half matured by the time you graduate. Most gifted books. Are there any favorite books you have?
I mean, we talked about the Tony Robbins Unshakable, fantastic book. I'm not that familiar with index funds because I do like just investing in stocks, but he definitely talks about index funds and has great information in there. Suze Orman, it's Suzeorman. Young, Broken, Fabulous is a great book. She's doing the book tour for Women in Money, which is great now too. David Bach, BACH, The Automatic Millionaire. And I got to talk about Tyrone Jackson. I don't think he has a book. He has a podcast called The Wealthy Millionaire, or The Wealthy Investor, The Wealthy Investor. It used to be The Wealthy Artist because he was an actor.
Yeah.
He was an actor. But yeah, definitely Tony Robbins. I think Tony Robbins has like an older money book as well. But Unshakable is his newer one.
Yeah, the other one is like 3 times as large and
it's really a
harder to get through. Much harder. Start with Unshakable. Unshakable is much shorter.
Start with that one.
Tyrone Jackson, is there an episode that resonates the most with you, or one that you'd recommend people to begin with? Or is there one that comes to mind? Or is it really just all of them? Start at the most recent, work your way back?
Yeah, I don't know of a podcast episode that I can think of right now. He just he has students and they talk about their success stories. He definitely gets into option trading and different things like that. But he does. I think there's a freemium. So if you sign up for his email list, I think you get like a free report or something.
Okay.
So you might be able to go and check that out. But The Wealthy Investor is his podcast.
Okay, definitely. I'm going to check that out. And as we wrap up here, is there a word or phrase that you would put on a billboard for millions of people to see?
Just want to make financial responsibility cool.
Yeah.
like I mentioned the Kardashians before, they're so cool to have all the bling and the fashion and the glamour. And how do we make it so that it's cool to, I have a savings account, or I'm out of credit card debt, or I'm this or I'm that? Like, how do we make that cool? Because that is going to be, whether you're in this business for your entire life or you go out of the business and down the road you want a house or kids or, a car or whatever you want later, you never know what your life's going to turn into. So I want to make financial responsibility and being financially savvy cool.
I like that. No, I really like that and that also, what makes it come to mind in my mind, wow, I can't speak, is that there are no rules. We have these set of rules with like, oh, I have to be at X amount of auditions, which means I need a certain job that allows me to be at these auditions. And we start to lock into this thing where we cannot move. And it's not true.
Yeah.
It's not. I mean, from the beginning, you can get really savvy with what you want to go to and what you want to spend your time on and where do you want your career to go. And there really aren't rules. You can follow other people, but you're better off just kind of like making your own.
Yes, you have to find out what works for you. And you might not know when you start out. I didn't know. I went to everything and see what's stuck on the wall. I mean, I went to everything. And I laugh now. I'm like, right? Like some of the roles you're like, oh, I can't believe I got that. No clue what that audition was for. And it turned into like an amazing show,
Yeah.
And that was at the beginning, right? And then you get more savvy and you're like, I only want to take X roles. I only want to work at X theaters. And, you find what works for you and your career and you try to shape your career. But you can't do that unless you have that financial foundation.
Yeah. Yeah. So true. Michelle, where can we find you?
So I'm at michelledyer.com. And then hopefully by the time this airs, survivaljobsforactors.com will be up and running. And it's revamped. It's a listing of all these survival jobs and then options for side hustles. So definitely check that out as well.
Michelle, this conversation has been highly educational. And I appreciate you making this whole financial world less taboo for us performers. I really appreciate it. Thank you.
No problem. Thanks for talking. It was fun.
Yes, Michelle. Thank you. Thank you. This is great. And so we can find you on there. You have the podcast. You're revamping the survival jobs where people can find you. Are you on Twitter, Insta, any of that others?
Yeah, I'm Michelle Dyer Latee, MichelleDyerLat.
Thank you. Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, Michelle Dyer.
You've been listening to Entertainment X, the podcast. You can follow Entertainment X on Instagram at _EntertainmentX_. If you haven't yet, go to Apple Podcasts and subscribe, rate, and review this podcast. Join Clay next week for another curiosity conversation on Entertainment X. Thank you for listening.